Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be covering and reviewing Monster Harvest, a farming sim / monster taming title that allows you to mutate and create monsters from your very own crops. As is the norm on this channel, we're going to be covering the game from a monster taming standpoint, and whilst we will be touching on, of course, the farming aspects of the game, which are very prevalent, this review will be crafted from the lens or perspective of a monster taming fan. I know for a fact that today a lot of people are going to be going into depth on the farming mechanics, rightfully so, but there's a lot of people who are very interested in the monster aspect specifically, and this will be the review for you. We will touch on farming, obviously it's Monster Harvest, so that's going to be a thing, but this review will be geared towards you Mon fans. That said, let's dive in. Alright, so we're going to touch on three major factors as we do with any monster taming review, those being the game's story, the gameplay loop, and of course the monsters themselves. As far as the story goes, it's a relatively simple but intriguing plot. Essentially, your crazy Doc Brown EGAD hybrid looking uncle discovered something called slime in a place later called Planimal Point. This slime has very interesting properties in that when grown alongside your crops, it will cause a mutation that will allow them to become the sentient plant monsters. Once the slime was discovered, people from around the world started to flock to Planimal Point and started settling, which is the present day town in which you see here. Your uncle, being a scientist, decided to dedicate his life to researching the slimes and the cave systems in which they inhabit, and as of such, his farm was left pretty desolate, so he invites you to essentially have it under the condition that you maintain it. On a surface level, it's quite a simple concept, but there's menace in the air, because some mysterious people that go by the company name Slime Co. have also come to Planimal Point, and you may or may not be bumping heads with them now and then. This adds questions, especially early game, such as, why are these people here? Why is their name Slime Co? Did they create this name before the slimes were discovered? If so, what do they know about the slimes that we don't, etc. I'm not going to say what happens in regards to that, but those were some of my early questions. In terms of gameplay, I'd argue that the game functions as primarily a farming sim, with monster taming as a secondary feature rather than a half and half scenario, and I will explain why. So everything you do in the game is pretty much farming, right down to the way you obtain your planimals, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. I actually think it's a really cool idea that the farming directly impacts how you get your monsters. A lot of monster taming farming games have monster taming on one side and farming on the other, and they feel kind of separate, but this game it's all in one. Essentially how it works is you need seeds and slime, both of which have variants, and then you simply plant your seed, throw some slime on it, water it every day for a set amount of in-game days until it becomes a planimal. You can use these planimals in combat whilst traversing the caves, which are randomly generated and feature a wide variety of crafting materials, enemy planimals, and other items as well. The combat system itself is extremely simplistic, with each planimal gaining access to 3 moves. However, 2 of the 3 will be locked until level up. If your planimal dies in battle, it's gone, and you'll have to farm for a new one. Battles are turn-based, and in the very early game, I will say they feel quite monotonous, but do get better as you level up. If you're a fan of games like Stardew Valley, or essentially farming sims in general, and want an experience that feels like a farming tame that adds monster taming, then you'll probably love this game. The pixel graphics are quite nice and vibrant, the farming aspect is very laid back, and it all ties into monster taming. Where it gets a little more dicey depends on the person. If you're a more classical monster taming fan and enjoy games like Coromon, Nexomon, Pokemon, etc., and don't really care much for farming, but instead want to spend most of your time exploring the monster taming, then you might not enjoy this game as much. Like I said, everything ties into farming, and you might find it very tedious, especially early on, to get your planimal team going. You will eventually be able to automate a lot of the farming work, but if you don't enjoy that sort of laid back, more repetitive gameplay loop that is present in farming sim games, then you likely won't enjoy the game enough to actually get to the point where you could do that. The game requires multiple in-game days to get your first planimal team going, and early on it's very easy to lose them, so there is a bit of barrier to entry if you don't like farming sims and just want to get right to the caves. On the farming side of things, however, the game consists of 3 main tools, being the hoe, which can dig up spots for you to plant seeds, the pickaxe, which can gather various rocks and metals, and the wood axe, which you can use to gather various types of wood and cut trees down. You can either sell the stuff that you grab through mining and wood cutting, or you can use it to upgrade your farm. Like I said, there are going to be reviews that go much more into the farming aspects specifically, so this guide is more geared towards monster taming. Lastly, we're going to touch on some of the monster designs, and I honestly quite like some of them. My personal favorite is this little peppery guy I got during wet season. Basically, the game gives you a few different slime options, red being the sort of main one that allows you to make monsters, green is an accelerant, and blue allows you to make livestock to assist you with your farm. The types of seeds you can plant also differ based on one of the 3 seasons, which consist of the dry season, the rainy season, and the dark season. Keeping to the theme of having this review more based on monster battling, I do gotta say that the monsters are pretty cute, but are also very simple in design, and in my opinion, are not bad by any means. I actually quite like a lot of them, but I wouldn't say that they're the strongest in the monster taming genre by any means either. So there you have it, guys, a very brief and to the point monster taming review of Monster Harvest. I do hope this review was helpful in giving a breakdown to some of the more important features for those who are specifically looking for the monster taming aspects of the game. I am going to leave a link to a mini review that goes much more into depth into the farming aspects specifically, and I think they did a really good job, and I don't think I could do a better job, to be honest. That'll be linked in the description. I'm personally more of a monster battling guy. I love my monster taming RPGs, my monster taming ARPGs, so getting into a farming game was a little bit different for me. I have played games like Ova Magica, which from what I've played so far kind of feels half and half, but this is very focused in the farming. I will say I did have a lot of fun doing it. It is very laid back and kind of chill. I think this would be a really good game, especially for the Switch, where you could take it on the go. I think this is a very good portable title specifically. I personally wouldn't want to play it too much on PC though. But that said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you are a fan of the monster taming genre, definitely make sure to subscribe for more content. Special thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel, especially our mythical tier patron being Stealcase. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.